Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to At the Book for Thursday, March the 24th. Zach Ewing back with you here in Baton Rouge, along with Jim Derry on the North Shore. Devin Jackson is live at the Caesars Sportsbook inside Harrah's Casino in New Orleans. Gentlemen, it's good to be back.
It's great to have you back. I've missed arguing your silly comments and just outlandish, just everything. We're glad to have you back. I hope you had enough sausage and beer and that your jet lag is subsided a little bit.
The jet lag is okay. I definitely put on a few pounds from the sausage and beer. The jet lag, at about 9 o'clock, I get real tired. See, this is what I like to see right here. Like, no one calls Jim out.
He's already buttering up.
No, nobody calls Jim out on his terrible takes if I'm not here. So I'm very happy to. In fact, I thought about, it's like 10 o'clock and you're up. Yeah, my kids are in bed. I'll call in and put Jim in his place. But you know what? It's vacation, so
he would comment. We just wouldn't put him on the screen.
Oh, well, I put him on the screen. Hi, Nick. All right, so we got a lot to talk about this weekend. Obviously, the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight.
What about Devin? Devin probably has something
tournament.
Good to say about your trip. You being
Devin,
gone?
Did you keep Jim in line or not? It doesn't look like you did.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I'm sorry. I know I had one job. I messed it up. My bad.
I'm very disappointed.
No, it was great. It was nice 3 weeks of calm shows. We all agreed with one another. It was fantastic.
I frankly find that kind of boring. I can't wait to find something to disagree with you about.
Well, I'm sure there'll be something.
Now
are we having a
now
little?
My Wi-Fi's not.
Are you having Wi-Fi lag?
I tell you what, I'm going to reset my machine. I'll talk about the Sweet 16. It starts tonight, starting with Gonzaga, Arkansas, and I will be back in a few minutes.
All right. Well, apparently Zach has Wi-Fi lag now, and that's okay. We're going back to normal, Devin. I mean, we've done it without him, so we're just going to go on and move on here. All right, Gonzaga, Arkansas. I'd like to get your take on this. This is my best bet of the day. It's -10 at Caesars Sportsbook with -9.5 at BetMGM. Caesars Sportsbook, official odds partner of Bet.NOLA.com. But we like to give value where there's value. And, to me, obviously you want to take whatever you can get. You want to get the best bet you can get. And it's Gonzaga -9.5. But that being said, even at -10, I like the Zags here. This is a terrible matchup for Arkansas, Devin. Gonzaga is number 3 in the NCAAs and defensive field goal percentage, and they're number 1 in offense. And Arkansas, even though they skated through, just kind of made it through a little bit, they don't have a ton of players that can make offensive plays. I'm not sure they can score a bunch here.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Gonzaga, they had that tough game against Memphis. And I really think that woke them up a little bit. They skated through the first game pretty easily and really had no troubles in the first game. But against Memphis, I thought that was going to be a tough match. I think Boise State or Memphis would have gave Gonzaga a tough run. And that's exactly what happened. And they showed that athleticism and ability to really stress Gonzaga and getting in the passing lanes in that first half. Second half, though, Gonzaga played much more like Gonzaga basketball. But for Arkansas in particular, they're going to have to knock down perimeter jumpers and be able to really put pressure on Gonzaga and score. I mean, that's going to be the biggest thing. You got to be able to outscore Gonzaga, and with so many athletes they have on the court and the size they have down low. If Arkansas starts missing some shots here, they can get behind early and can really turn into a track meet that they don't want it to turn into.
And with all that being said, when we talk about the defense, Arkansas plays a lot of low-scoring games. For them to have any chance, to me, they have to keep Gonzaga under like 77, 78 points. If you get in a track meet with Gonzaga, you're going to lose. So Arkansas does have a decent defense, but they are going to have to find a way to slow down Timmy, slow down Nemhard, which no one's really been able to do so far. Nemhard's been outstanding throughout this tournament so far, and really the last half of the season, hence why they're the number 1 overall seed. So I kind of like a Gonzaga and under parlay here. But our best bet to be official is Gonzaga minus 9.5, minus 10 on Caesars Sportsbook. I'm not sure there's going to be a ton of great games tonight. Brings us to the next game, Devin, and you talk about what's going on in the Sweet 16. Villanova, who I think is one of the most underrated teams in this tournament. I've got them in the final game against Gonzaga. I think that we're going to get to overall numbers in just a moment of what odds are. I love Villanova tonight. And, I mean, anyone who's read my copy knows I have a little bias against Michigan. I don't think they should be in this tournament. Great, they made the Sweet 16. That doesn't change my opinion on whether they should be in the tournament or not. They've had a nice draw for them. But I really like Villanova tonight. I think they win by double digits.
Yeah, I think Michigan, they've certainly got some really nice draws in this tournament, and it really had some really favorable matchups to really begin the tournament. I know they've kind of been a bit of a surprise that they've made this far as Sweet 16. But I'll tell you what, Villanova really impressed me with what they were able to do in the round of 32. And I think Michigan really are kind of riding that momentum that they garnered on the back half of the season. But Villanova, they've been there, have the experience. Jay Wright as a coach. I mean, I love what Juwan Howard has done this first season, and they really got able to get Michigan sneaking into the tournament. But I tell you what, Villanova is a tough draw because they have the experience. They know how to play on this stage, and I just feel like they're the more cohesive unit. Michigan has some really nice players, but I think they don't play enough consistent basketball to trust them in this spot. So I like Villanova here to cover, to be honest, because I just think Michigan, they've done. I think they've exceeded their limit of what this team can do.
I agree.
I think next year they'll come back, and I think they'll be a better team. But I just think this year they've kind of hit that wall where Sweet 16 is super overachieving at this point, and they've had some things go their way.
Yeah, no offense to Jalen Howard, but I just think that I think Jay Wright might be the best coach in this tournament other than Coach K, and Coach K's got his hands full, but that's the game for tomorrow night. We kicked him out already. No, we didn't kick him out already. He kicked himself out with his – I'm telling you, his Wi-Fi is lagging. Linda is happy Zach is back. Well, he came back for like 2 minutes, and his Wi-Fi booted him off. So it has nothing to do with us. I'm telling you. He's going to be back in a moment. I think I see him clicking in right now. We're going to give him a chance to come on. But how is your – before we get to the next two games, we'll give Zach a chance to come back on. Devin, how's your bracket?
I mean, I tell you what, I think that tells it all there. I did take advantage of the ESPN brackets. I did 20 brackets because why not? I do have one that's 93% right now, and that's Duke as winning the national championship. I did get the Kentucky losing in the first round right. That was really the only major upset that I was able to get right. But other than that, it's definitely looking a little rough. Some of the more confident ones I thought for sure going to look good, but in these next few games, I do think there might be an upset here. So I'll let Zach pop in here and be able to talk about these other two games. But the brackets is definitely got busted on day one. I mean, I think maybe it lasted 3 hours that I had a perfect bracket, but then the nightcap fell, and then
mine didn't last that long. I had Iowa in the Final Four, and they were in the morning games, and so. Although I will say that after Iowa, I started doing a lot better, and I've actually been pretty good. In fact, I think 6 of my final 8 are still alive. So I'm not doing too bad at the moment. I also have one. I think it's 92 or 93% in ESPN. I only did 3 though, Devin. So Zach
came back with Derry bragging. What a surprise!
Yeah, well, I mean, I was setting you up to bring you back in.
Uncle Big Nick, are you surprised by this development?
Oh, Jesus.
I come back and he's bragging.
He's watching golf. He's got golf on one screen and us on the other.
The golf is frustrating to me because those match plays are tough, man. It's tough to pick that stuff.
It's fun though.
Yeah, it
Michelle,
is, but it's fun.
Hey, back at you. Thanks for joining. I don't know. Her first comment was Bath. That might be a little bit TMI, but thank you for joining us. Hey, to you, Michelle, and Uncle Big Nick. Oh, Jesus.
Well, you were 100% right. He's watching golf. I guess that's, yeah.
Well, I guess that means I know he's got golf on the big screen, and we're on the little screen. Zach, take it over from here. We've talked about the first two games.
Okay, so
we'll try.
Who you guys? I know you like Gonzaga. This line's been moving, by the way. It was 9.5. It's 10 now. So obviously some money's coming in on the Zags. Arkansas is salty, but they don't have the firepower here, right?
It's just a terrible matchup for them, Zach. We talked about it. Arkansas really, unless they can find a way to slow down the Gonzaga, they cannot afford to get in a track meet. They get in a track meet, they're going to get killed. And so the problem is Arkansas is streaky. It is hard to bet against them because they can go on streaks and go on like 10-0 runs. I think even against Gonzaga, they have a chance to do that. But they got to get hot, and they got to get hot from the outside. And I'm not sure that they can do that, and especially not to sustain it. So I think Gonzaga wins easily here. I think it's probably and I like Gonzaga in the first half because I think Gonzaga is going to jump out quick.
The problem with trying to beat Gonzaga is that even if you do get hot and you go on these runs, they are such an elite, efficient scoring team that they're going to come back at you at some point. You just cannot run away and hide from that team. It can't be done. Well, I say that Baylor did it in the national championship last year, but even then, Baylor had to keep it up for 40 minutes. I mean,
Baylor kept that up for 6 games. That's a run that I don't know that I've ever seen Baylor go on last year and just destroy all their opponents. There's not a team like that in the tournament this year. Where Gonzaga is going to find trouble is in the next round, especially if Texas Tech beats Duke tomorrow night, like I expect. They don't match up well as much with Texas Tech. Texas Tech can handle them. That to me would be a great game, and I'm assuming if that were to happen, if it's Gonzaga, Texas Tech, the line's going to be in the neighborhood of 5-6, and I would take the Red Raiders in that one.
Well, let's talk about that because that's the late game tonight, and that game has been moving too. It was Texas Tech by 1.5 all week. It's now a pick'em as of a couple of hours ago. So money coming in on the Blue Devils. Texas Tech, an elite defensive team. They have been for several years in a row, made a Final Four just a few years ago. Of course, that was under Chris Beard, who's now at Texas. But this is very much a similar team, guys.
It's a sentimental, I think, movement. It's the same reason why I put money on Duke in the beginning of the season on a future. And Devin, we kind of talked about this a couple months ago, but the Coach K Hollywood script ending. I wasn't necessarily in love with the Duke pick. I thought it was decent value in there, and I didn't want to be off the bandwagon if that Hollywood script run went along. But now my futures are Duke, Texas Tech, and Gonzaga because I really think whoever makes it out of this bracket is going to win the championship. But that being said, I think Texas Tech is certainly the better team.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game, though. I think. Devin, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic game. Might be one of the best of tonight, and it's just hard to pick this one because, like you said, I think Texas Tech is a better overall team, has a better defense, but I don't know if you can count out Duke and Mike Krzyzewski. I mean, it is his final year, and he wants to go out with a bang. And we've seen over the last couple of years, so it's gone either way. We've seen with Drew Brees here locally. We've seen, some other coaches walk off and walk off into the sunset. Peyton Manning, for example, was able to walk off into the sunset. So you've got to kind of get a little bit of both over the last couple of years. The emotional side of me wants Duke to win just because it'll be nice to see him in the Final Four and his last hurrah. But I don't know. Texas Tech, I think they've really been trending upwards of late, and Duke really had to scrap out that last game to get to the Sweet 16.
And Zach, I would be less inclined to. I would be more inclined to buy Duke at this point if they hadn't lost their last game in Cameron Indoor. And I know that North Carolina has been playing really well lately. We'll get to them later, but and then they lose to Virginia Tech in the AC title game. So I just don't like the way Duke is playing right now. They had to scrap and claw to get to the Sweet 16. They didn't win any games by plenty. That last game when they won by 10, that is completely skewed because they made a lot of free throws there in the end. So I just don't think the Blue Devils are playing that well. And if they get behind, they don't have a ton of three-point shooters. It's not like they're going to have a barrage of threes to get themselves back in it, where Texas Tech, I think, can do just about anything they need to do if they get behind.
Yeah, my take on the sentimental aspect of it is, like, listen, there's a lot of neutrals who'd like to see Coach K in one more Final Four. I don't know, like, and here's the thing about, like, the North Carolina game at Cameron Indoor. They lost by 15 points, right? Like, the game was never close. And if Texas Tech or Gonzaga or whoever it is, when they go out of this tournament, they're going to go out in a game that they lose by 8 or more points. Because I do think that if it's a close game, if it's a one-possession game and there's a block charge call or something, I don't even think the officials will do it consciously. I don't even think it'll be. I'm not gonna accuse anyone of conscious bias, but there is going to be in the back of a head, I can't make Coach K go out on a 50-50 call.
Kind of like
there's
that game, right?
Yeah, what happens is you don't want to be the ref who sends Coach K out on a bad call. And so if you see, and refereeing basketball is hard enough. If you see something just like in a snap judgment, you're going to go that way almost subconsciously. And so I think, if it's a one possession, and we actually saw a little bit of that in their second round game. Now, if they lose a game by 10, 12 points, okay, well, they lost, and I do think that will happen eventually. But I do lean Duke tonight just because I think it is a close game. And I do think there'll be a call or two. And I don't think that's anybody being biased. I just think that's the way it'll work out.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I think Texas Tech is that much better. And it's another game that I kind of like the under. I'll tell you what, you might want to take a little flyer and do a 4-team under parlay. I know Caesars has a special right now. If you put down, I don't know if this would qualify for the plus 1,600. I guess it would be close. If you do a parlay of over plus 1,600 and bet at least $10, so you can do $10 on a 16 on a 4-leg parlay, all the unders. If you win, not only do you win whatever your bet is, but you get a $160 free bet, which I think is actually a pretty good deal.
And it's worth, by the way, their regular promotion for new users is a free bet up to $1,100. So if you want to bet $20 on 16-1 odds, get a free $160 bet, and you get that bet insured. If you lose, you get your money back in terms of a free bet. I don't know if you can combine those promos, but use the code NOLA-CZR if you're a new sign up and try it out. And even if you're not a new user, like Jim said, you can go ahead and give that a shot. So all stuff we should be looking at. Boost those odds wherever you can, because it's hard enough. The thing that irritates me about tonight, because I love the Sweet 16, it might be my favorite round of the whole tournament. But what irritates me tonight is that the two best games of the entire round are going on at the same time. It's Texas Tech Duke, and then Arizona Houston 20 minutes later. And by the way, USA Mexico World Cup qualifier, for those of us who care about such things, starts at 9 o'clock. So I don't have enough TVs in my house. Plus it's the kids' bedtime. So it's going to be a mess. But Arizona Houston, what a fantastic game.
Your kids have a bedtime?
Yeah, man. My wife is strict.
Wow. I wish it was like that at my house.
9 o'clock on a school night, man. They got to be in bed.
Yeah. Well, they get in bed and out of bed and into bed, and I forgot to tell mommy something, and
Yeah, that happened. Oh, I'm thirsty all of a sudden. No, now I got to go to the bathroom. You went to the bathroom.
I got to tell mommy something.
Ago. Yeah.
I love you.
Tell her tomorrow. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. See, Nick,
Stop
you need to talk
giving
to my
this
wife.
guy airtime.
I need a 4 TV room, but we go to Europe instead. So that's how those things work. It's a pretty good trade-off. Arizona, Houston. Arizona's a favorite slightly. So you think the winner of that West region will win the national championship? I have a sneaking suspicion the winner of this game may win the national championship if they're not too.
No way Houston wins.
These are great. These are the top two. Well, I take that back. These are number 2 and 3 in Ken Pom efficiency rankings. Houston's 2, Arizona's 3 in the country, behind only Gonzaga.
I will make you a bet. We'll make you a bet right now, and it could be a root beer like we usually do. I think we're probably even on mayo. You want, I don't know, whatever. Lots of sugar involved. That whoever wins this game is going to lose to Villanova. I think Villanova is going to the Final Four. I think they're going to a national championship game. I think Villanova is the best team not named Gonzaga in this tournament, and no one is looking at them. They're completely underrated. And Jay Wright, no one talks enough about what he has done.
The reason I won't take that bet is because I do think there's a chance that whoever survives this Arizona-Houston game,
tough bracket,
it's beat up. You know, you got to play Villanova 2 days later. That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, that plays a factor for sure. But I do like this game. These are two of the best 3 teams in the country according to schedule-based efficiency ranking. So this is a national championship or Final Four caliber game. It's going to be fantastic. Devin, who you got here? Arizona -1.5.
I like Houston a lot. I just like how they've been really playing down the stretch of the season, handled their first 2 opponents. I mean, they made Illinois look average, like an average basketball team the other last week. So I like Houston because I think their athleticism shows up. I mean, 2 of their 6 losses came to Memphis this year, and we saw how tough Memphis was against Gonzaga for half and a good bit of the second half too. But in a championship game, they made Memphis look average as well. I just really like Houston. I really
Y'all
like
are
Houston
welcoming me
tonight.
back with open arms. I like it.
Oh no, I got
Houston.
something for this.
I like Houston tonight to win, and I would not be surprised if they won by double digits tonight. I really like what they can do.
Pat S saying Zach is 100% on the nose. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Pat S is the one who said Kentucky was going to the Final Four. I think I remember that last week or a week and a half
I wasn't
ago.
here
Pat,
for that, so I don't. That's ancient history.
Well, he when I said Villanova is going to the national championship game or going to beat whoever wins that game, he says no way. So I think I kind of like my odds there. I'm fading Pat S here. We love Pat S.
You do have 6 of the 8 teams remaining, as you so subtly reminded us.
I do. The only thing my whole Midwest bracket got scratched out.
Oh, he says it wasn't him.
Yeah. So, whoops. I meant to. Sorry, I was showing at the same time he did. Okay. If he says
All
so.
right. Well,
How's Pat's bracket doing?
I had Kentucky in my Final Four, so don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
You've been jacking up Arizona since the get-go, though.
I called Arizona as my national champion back in early December. But I didn't pick them in my bracket because their region was so tough. I didn't like they had Houston, they had Illinois, they had Villanova, they had Tennessee. I didn't like that region. Now they still may make it out, but you look at some of these number 1 seeds. Gonzaga is a 10-point favorite. Kansas is a 7-point favorite, and Arizona's only a 1-point favorite because the team they're facing is so tough. So speaking of that,
he asked me how my golf bracket. Nick's asked me how my golf bracket. It's pretty good, just because I missed on Casey. The rest of them pretty good.
Casey withdrew, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that when I made my bracket picks.
Yeah, it's tough.
The rest of it's pretty good.
Sweet 16 games Friday, as I mentioned. There's some big spreads Friday, and especially in those first 2 games. Purdue gets the St. Peter's Peacocks. Everyone had that matchup in their bracket, I'm sure. 12.5-point chalk. Kansas 7.5. This one's interesting because if you look at the money, a lot of money's coming in on Providence with the points. It was 8.5. Got down to 8. Now it's 7.5. And money's still coming in on Providence. So a lot of sharp money expecting a close game there. Classic matchup in the East region, North Carolina, UCLA. And then Iowa State, Miami. We're going to have either a 10 seed or an 11 seed in the Elite 8 guaranteed out of that one.
My final 8 in the East is UCLA and Purdue. And I think that Purdue is the best team down there. And this is another reason why I like whoever wins the West to win the national championship, because nothing against Purdue. I think Purdue is a really good team. Hence why I think they're going to thought the whole way they're going to the Final Four. But other than the Texas Tech Duke game, I think Gonzaga has the easiest road in the national championship game, because I think if they are able to get past Texas Tech or Duke, again, assuming they win tonight against Arkansas, which I don't think they'll have a problem, I think that whoever they face in the Final Four should give them a great chance to go to the national championship game. But the game that sticks out, and you talked about it, Zach, is not only do I like Providence with the points, I think Providence wins this game straight up. Another team that no one's talking about. I'm sure you do. I finally said something you like.
My 9-year-old picked Kansas to win it all in his bracket. I almost disowned him on the spot. You can live in Germany.
I was going to say, you still took him to Europe?
Ah, man. Well, he was like, Dad, I don't want it to happen. I just think it's going to happen. And
Well, as long as he doesn't start saying Rock Chalk Jayhawk, you're good.
oh, just stop. Amy just might be listening. I can't take this anymore. Devin, your take on Friday's games?
I think North Carolina is a sleeper to watch in these matchups because they're starting to peak at the right time. They took down Baylor, obviously a national championship from last year. I think they've been a bit of a surprise. They kind of flew under the radar, and then they kind of woke up some eyes when they beat Coach K in his last home game for Duke, and then they went through the tournament, obviously, made a decent run there, and then so far in the NCAA tournament, they've been grinding out some tough wins. So it's a team to watch because they beat two really solid programs at Marquette and Baylor. Got UCLA up next. So I think North Carolina is a team to watch here in these brackets that could sneak into the Final Four.
Yeah. One thing that's going in North Carolina's favor, besides the fact that they've been playing really well, and I don't necessarily like UCLA tomorrow. Not only that the Tar Heels have been playing well, but we don't know the status of Jaime Jaquez, who got hurt last week. So
he did say he was going to practice tonight, and I guess that means see how it goes after that. But it looks like it may be trending toward he's playing.
Well, even if he plays and he's hobbled a little bit, we don't know how much that's going to affect the Bruins, and they can't win without him. They can't beat North Carolina without him. And North Carolina, to me, is, if not the hottest team in the tournament, certainly one of them. And I agree with Devin in the fact that they're a scary team, and it's not out of the realm of, boy, wouldn't it be interesting if Duke found some kind of way to make it through and Duke and North Carolina played each other in the first Final Four game? That would
almost be, you'd almost have to say that some of the fix was in on that.
Yeah, you'd have to start one. I mean, you really would.
But I will say this: I would be happy to watch it. It would be a lot of fun to watch.
It's certainly possible. I mean, you got to give 10% chance that happens. It could happen.
Sure. At this point, it's a lot more likely than it was a week ago. That's for sure. We'll take a look at some national championship odds, and I think this is a little bit to your point, Jim. Most of these teams are on the right half of the bracket, right? They're either in the South region or the Midwest region.
Midwest, yeah.
Because Gonzaga is sort of the behemoth on the left side of the bracket. Baylor's out of there now. Kentucky's out of there. And so you still have Purdue and I guess Texas Tech. And then the one that didn't fit on here, by the way, Duke is 14-1, which seems a little bit high to me, considering a lot of people, they are a sentimental favorite. I just don't think they're good enough to beat the road in front of them. But is there any value left at this point here? I'll throw out Houston at 10-1 if they survive tonight. They still have Villanova and then probably Kansas, so it's not easy. But any value you guys see here?
There are two teams that stick out to me, besides the fact that I still think Gonzaga is a decent bargain at 230. I think if you play this tournament 10 times, I think they win it 5 times. That's how good they are. But that being said, there is tremendous value, I think, on Villanova and Texas Tech, because I love Villanova's chance to make it to the Final Four. I think they match up decently with either Arizona or Houston. You talk about Houston. Before last week, they hadn't beaten a single-digit seeded team in the NCAA tournament since Phi Slamma Jamma back in 1984. So, and that was including their run last year to the Final Four. So I love Villanova and Texas Tech. I'm telling you, sneaky. If they can beat Gonzaga in one game, I think it's a real chance. I love Texas Tech's chances because the confidence that you would gain over beating a Gonzaga, and their odds would plummet. If they were to beat Gonzaga, they suddenly go to 3 or 4-1. And now's the time to buy them. Just put a little bit on them. I did. And so I think great bargain there.
The only futures ticket that I have out there is Arizona, which I got at 16-1 back in December. So I'm feeling good about that, but they've got to survive tonight. That's going to be the tough one. Devin Jackson, your value pick on this board, if anything.
I think there's some value with Houston. I know they got a tough road to get to a national championship, but they can beat Arizona tonight and really show that they can hang with a team like that. I think there's really no capping their ceiling. I think they can really make a realistic run towards a national championship and make it real interesting down the stretch, because no one will want to play them, especially if they get past this round and have to match up with some of these other names at the top. I would not want to play Houston at this point of the tournament, and I think they certainly have the talent, athleticism, plus the efficiency on both sides of the floor to be a dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, I've made my feelings known on Arizona-Houston. I think it's a Final Four national championship caliber game. But you look at those two teams, and the reason their odds are still long, like Houston had to play Illinois. That's the Big Ten regular season champ. Now they got to play Arizona, Pac-12 champ. If they win that, they got to play Villanova. If they win that, they got to play Kansas, Big 12 champ. Then you're talking, and Arizona's the same way.
That's
you
brutal.
talk about a gauntlet. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard to win 2 games in one weekend against tournament teams anyway. But to do it against these elite teams, I mean, there are no breathers left there. Unless maybe Michigan upsets Villanova or something. Then maybe you say that's slightly easier. But I just think it's tough. I did want to say before we move on, I have the regional odds here. I didn't make a slide for them, but just we've been talking a lot about the road to NOLA. So who are the favorites? You have odds-on favorites in 3 of the regions to make it to the Superdome for the Final Four. Kansas is minus 190 out of the Midwest. Gonzaga is minus 175 out of the West, and Purdue is minus 120 out of the East. So it's that South region where everybody's still higher than even money. You have Arizona at plus 145, Villanova and Houston are both plus 240. So right now, obviously, maybe not likely that all 3 of them make it, but Kansas, Purdue, and Gonzaga are looking pretty good for New Orleans.
And that's as even though I like Gonzaga at plus 230 to win the national championship, I do not like that regional odd number because you'd be better off almost. I mean, you'd almost be better off parlaying some kind of way 2 money lines. I don't like that number at all. I wouldn't touch that. But I do, again, I don't see a lot of value in region odds anyway. I mean, you're not going to get any unless you're betting on St. Peter's to pull off a miracle, which isn't going to happen. There's just not enough value there. I mean, nobody's over plus 300. That's worth a darn. Unless I don't know what is North Carolina.
When the tournament starts, I like region odds, but once you get to the Sweet 16, it's Kansas at the beginning of the week was like minus 150, and I kind of liked them at that number, but now it's up to minus 190. That's too rich for me.
You have North Carolina in front of you, Zach?
Let's see. North Carolina is lost it here. North Carolina is plus 380, so there's a little bit of juice there.
That might be a little value because to me, there's no dominant team in that bracket. Again, if they, I think they could. I don't like them to beat UCLA, but I think they have a decent chance, and then they match up decently with Purdue. I mean, at 380, I think that's a decent number, but overall, you're just not going to get good value there.
Yeah, it makes it tough. And like I said, Arizona, Houston, whoever survives that, are they going to be run down for Villanova? That's not a team you want to be run down against either. So that even though you can get plus numbers on those teams, I don't know that I like that. Let's shift gears. Look at the women's NCAA tournament. That gets going again tomorrow with the Sweet 16 on Friday and Saturday, then the Elite 8 Sunday and Monday to try to get to the Final Four in Minneapolis. So right now, South Carolina clearly favorite, almost even money, plus 120. Last year's champion Stanford is right there with UConn at plus 400. Team I kind of like on this list, guys, is Louisville. 10-1. They are the most explosive team out of anyone. I don't know that their defense is as good as some of those other teams, but you may remember this. It was like late February. Louisville was playing Notre Dame, who was at the time top 20 in the country, and was beating them like 48-4 because they hit 13 of their first 14 three-pointers or something. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And any team that can do that has a chance, because nobody can defend the three-point line completely. If you're hitting shots from farther out, there's nothing teams can do. And so that's why I like Louisville. But let you give me your take.
I will say that I agree with you. If I was going to take anyone other than South Carolina, it would be Louisville because I think they have the second best chance. And I'm rarely I'll bet one team and you can have the field kind of guy. But here's one. I'll take South Carolina and you guys can have the field. If you want to take that bet, I'll go along. I don't think anybody's beating South Carolina.
All right. They have lost a couple games. I mean, they
lost to Mizzou on a fluke, and they lost to Kentucky, who must have had Mother Mary behind them or something along the way. I don't know what was going on there.
I don't appreciate that. Mizzou didn't even make the tournament. You realize that they were one of the 2 teams that beat South Carolina and didn't even make the tournament?
Fluke. Sorry.
Crazy. They didn't even have their best player either. Still beat
They
them.
go to the WNIT?
They did. They did.
Okay. All right.
The always prestigious WNIT. Yeah, so we'll talk. Devin, any women's take from you other than South Carolina's really good? I know in women's basketball, traditionally, the favorite has a lot more success than the favorite does in the men's tournament. Let's put it that way. Do you see that being the case this year?
Yeah, I think South Carolina is far and away the best team in women's college basketball. I know they've lost a few games, had a few slip-ups, but, I just think right now they probably going to win it all. I do like Stanford and what they've been able to do. They showed some dominance as well. But when you look at those teams on the board, I just think South Carolina is far above the rest. I think they will have to have a bad game and then some for a team to knock them off and potentially a national championship. But I really like what they have on the roster, their coach, everything about them. I think South Carolina's the champion this year.
I'm a little surprised none of us has mentioned UConn at 4-1. I mean, 3 years ago,
overrated.
That chance.
That's kind of like,
back. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of like people who don't watch any women's basketball. Oh, UConn, they're only 4-1. Oh, wow. Let me go bet this. It's like,
they still got a Hall of Fame coach in the Player of the Year. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, the Hall of Fame coach doesn't shoot 3-pointers.
That's true. That is true. So we'll see. There's a lot of college basketball this weekend. Obviously, other stuff going on as well. We mentioned the WGC match play going on, golf's version of March Madness. That's a lot of fun. And it's really the last time you'll see a lot of these guys before the Masters. A lot of them will take next week off. So a lot of fun there. We also have NASCAR this weekend. Where's NASCAR this weekend? We need Spencer the Guru to tell us that.
Devin, that's your forte. I don't know.
They are Circuit of the Americas, but that doesn't help me. I'm sorry. That's the one in Texas, I believe. I think they're in Texas just like the golfers are. Yeah, Austin.
Golfers are in Austin.
Okay.
Yeah. The both golf and auto racing's in Austin.
Yeah, it's got nice weekend to be in Austin.
Party, hook 'em horns. Wow.
Yeah, sure. And then also, it is a big
90
weekend.
degrees in Austin on Saturday, by the way.
Maybe not a great weekend to be in Austin.
Yeah.
It is a big weekend for the New Orleans Pelicans, by the way.
It is.
It starts tonight. They have the Chicago Bulls. And just shortly before the show, the Bulls announced DeMar DeRozan is out for tonight's game with a hip injury. So that's a boost to the Pelicans. And that's, if you're going to the game, you'd like to see DeRozan play. But the Pels are 3-point favorites now. And like I said, this is a big game. And then it's followed up. They have back-to-back on Saturday and Sunday. They have the Spurs on Saturday and then the real big one against the Lakers on Sunday, both at home. And that's, they're half a game behind the Lakers for the number 9 spot. 9 spot, of course, gets a home game in the play-in tournament. So, and they get Larry Nance back. I do want to get takes real quick on the Zion Williamson video because Shams Charania of the Athletic, hey, Zion's done for the season earlier in the year. Zion tweets out a video of himself doing a between the legs windmill dunk at the Pelicans. He didn't look like he was done for the season to me. I mean, I don't know how you get him back in the flow of things, but
first off, what you didn't mention about the Pelicans is and why this is so important. This stretch, they got to win 2 of 3, and the reason why is because after this stretch, they play 5 of their last 7 games on the road. So this is a huge stretch with the Spurs and Lakers. Not only do they need to go 2 of 3, I think they need to win. I mean, they need to beat the Spurs, sure. You can afford to lose to the Lakers, but I don't think you can afford to lose to the Spurs right now. As far as Zion goes, a one-on-one drill is completely different than playing real basketball and trying to get around guys. I'd be floored if Zion Williams plays this season. Why would you risk putting him out there to do what? To win a play-in game and go get your brains bashed in against the Suns? I just don't. I don't think that's going to happen. The
question is, do you think he's fully healthy, or if he's not fully healthy, is he risking re-injury by being out there? And right now it seems clear the Pelicans think he is. But he clearly wants to play because he's posting these videos to his Instagram account. It's a weird situation, man. It's been weird almost since the day they picked him. Devin, what's your take on the Zion Pelican situation?
Yeah, I don't think there's much there, to be honest. I just think, he's showing people that, he's close to playing maybe, but I just don't think right now where the relationship is. I don't think he's getting on the court this year. And, to be honest, I mean, even if he did come back in, it's kind of late in the season. They've already kind of lived with life without him. And inserting him, I think, will just make it more complicated more than anything.
I agree.
Obviously him on the court is we want. He'll get people back in the seats for sure and drive up attendance. But in terms of actually on the court, I think it's too complicated right now to throw him in the mix and hope that, you are going to be that much better to make it past the play-in.
Yeah,
it's way more important to get BI back.
Yeah, and I think he will be back for Saturday. He's not supposed to play tonight, but it's a weird situation because normally in a back-to-back, you'd say, listen, they're trying to catch the Lakers. They may rest some guys Saturday and go for Sunday, but the Spurs are only a game and a half behind them for the 10 spot. You really need to try to win both of those games, and so because of that, it's a tricky spot for the Pelicans, but it's a huge weekend nonetheless. So we'll see what happens. Thursday best bets before we go. By the way, also a big weekend for soccer. USA against Mexico tonight, and then against Panama on Sunday. Have to win at least one of the two. If they win one of the two, they're in pretty good shape to qualify for the World Cup. If they were to lose both, it would get awfully hairy. U.S. could miss the World Cup twice in a row. So we will see what happens. And Mexico's a road game, so that's going to be difficult tonight. Then they get Panama at home. I believe that game's in Orlando on Sunday. But your basketball best bets here, Jim.
I've said it all along. I mean, I don't even know if that number still existed. BetMGM, I'd have to go look. But earlier it was 9.5 over Arkansas, so you were getting some value there. I just think the Zags win decisively. I think they're up by double digits at halftime. So I also like them in the first half as well. I think they come out strong, and they're going to send a message. They have not been playing all that well. I think their time off. I think Mark Few's got them ready. I think they're going to be really strong tonight. I think Arizona and Houston's going to be an outstanding game. We talked about it earlier. Hence why I'm not really willing to lay a 1.5, 2 points, somewhere around there. Zach?
1.5, yeah.
Okay, so I'm not really fluky things happen. I'd rather just take my chances, and it is still 9.5 on BetMGM. I just looked. So you go there to get it. It is 10 at Caesars if you want to parlay it with something else. But Arizona to me is better than Houston. I do agree with you that it's going to be a great game. And Devin, that Houston's a sneaky play. But I just think that overall, Arizona didn't play all that well in the first two rounds either. I think they're going to come out hot and be excited to play. So,
Nick, Uncle Big Nick is the golf expert, so listen to him for Friday. Gooch over Bryson DeChambeau.
Bryson's playing awful.
Yeah. Keep an eye on that one. And then I've got a soccer parlay down there. This pays plus 156. It actually was richer earlier in the week, but I'll still like it at plus 156. Mexico over the U.S. The U.S. has never, ever won a competitive match on Mexican soil. They've won a friendly, never won a competitive match. Now, these have to be wins. Draws don't help you. You have to win. But the other part of this is the U.S. plays Panama on Sunday, which is objectively a bigger game. And 2 days of rest is not a lot for a soccer match. And so the reason I like Mexico tonight, the U.S. may not be playing a lot of its best players because the game Sunday is at home, and it's more important because Panama is the team they have to finish ahead of to qualify for the World Cup. And so I don't know that the U.S. goes all out to win this game. I think they may play for a draw tonight in Mexico, which is not going to end well. And then Panama is playing at home against Honduras, who's the last place team in the group, and they're going to be very motivated to win. So I see this as a very strong parlay just based on the motivation of the teams, and you can get plus money for it. So
take your word for it. You're the soccer guy.
That's my pick. It's big night. Sweet 16 starting around 6 o'clock. The soccer at 9. Golf all weekend. NASCAR on Sunday. It's a great weekend, guys. Final thoughts
kids in bed
for you, Jim. Yeah, get the kids in bed.
Final thoughts. It is one of the more fun weekends in sports. We talked about it. Devin and I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. This 3-week stretch of the NCAA tournament, March Madness, it is not overhyped. We love it, and especially because it's here in New Orleans. I can't wait to see what's going to be going on at Caesars next week. It's going to be, I think it's going to be crazy next Thursday in Caesars. Even though the Final Four didn't start till Saturday, I think people are going to really be flowing in. It's going to be fun in Caesars. And so, but we never even mentioned the Saints. A lot going on this week. You know, I will be talking about the haters on Datitude tomorrow morning, and I can't wait. The Jameis haters are just driving me insane. They're absolutely driving me up a wall. We're gonna probably spend 20-30 minutes talking about that tomorrow morning.
And Jim, Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. I mean, trades keep coming in the NFL. So there's a lot to talk about. After the Final Four, we got the Masters. Then it's going to be full-on NFL draft for a couple of weeks, and we can talk about what these teams look like when they're out of the free agency period. Saints, I think, still have some work to do, still have some cap space to work with. So their team will continue to change. Devin, your final thoughts?
Just ready to watch these games tonight and tomorrow night and see who gets closer to NOLA. Because I think this is one of the more competitive fields we've seen in quite some time, where you can have an 8 seed in a national championship or a 5 seed, and you're going to have a lot of different potential combinations happening. And obviously the big story is going to be to see if Duke can continue their run on Coach K's final season. But maybe we do get a rematch of North Carolina and Duke at some point in this tournament.
That would be insane.
It could be setting up for that, and then we get a wild national championship. But anything could happen this week, and I'm excited to see how it all shapes out.
It really doesn't matter who they play. If Duke's in the Final Four in Coach K's last year, it's going to be insane.
I want a Miami St. Peter's national championship game.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Michael, what's up, man? Good to see you. And my final thought will be this. Also coming up is baseball's opening day. Thank God for that, because before I left for Europe, it looked like we might not even get one, at least not for a long time. So we also have tomorrow, Jim, myself, and Spencer the Guru will be back at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Put it on your calendars, put a reminder. Our fantasy baseball extravaganza preview show. I know there's going to be quite a few drafts this weekend and into next week. The season doesn't start now till April 7th, but it is coming around the bend. So fantasy baseball preview show here on bet.nola.com, all these same social media channels at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Listen to Jim talk about why the Cubs are great, and we might actually give you some
I won't be
picks
saying
too.
that. They're not going to be great.
No. But we'll talk a little Saya Suzuki and see how he may be. How he may be. I just got roped into a $200 NL only auction league. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I may just sit back and listen to you guys. Yeah, I may need some help with that. You're an NL only guy.
I'll put in with it. Yeah.
I do get Juan Soto and Corbin Burns as keepers, though, so I'm off to a good start.
Really good start.
Not a bad place to start at all.
It's outstanding.
So we'll talk fantasy baseball tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And then Monday we'll be back, and we'll know the Final Four by Monday. We'll have the road to NOLA completed. So join us 4 p.m. Monday for Bayou Bets, 2 o'clock tomorrow for the Fantasy Roundup special baseball preview edition. And that'll be available on demand until the season starts on bet.nola.com. So until then, nice to talk to everybody. Nice to be back. For Devin and Jim, I'm Zach Ewing. Have a good one, everybody.